Hello, Stardust Simulation. This video is a little bit off topic from the personal stuff that I've been sharing, and the reason why I've been sharing some personal stuff throughout the journey is because it's just relevant to this topic, really, and this journey. And I'm trying. It's crazy because I'm trying not to make this channel all about me. You know what I mean? This channel is about navigating the Stardust Simulation. Hold on just a sec. So, yeah, this channel is about navigating but it's just happening that way organically, and I have to deal with it as it comes, really. And it's almost like the reality attempts to remove me from my purpose here. It's fighting so desperately hard to remove me from my purpose here, that it puts me in all these situations where I can't even do I can't be like, how do I put it? I'm definitely, obviously not privileged, but let's just imagine that I'm privileged and I can live with mom and dad and make my YouTube channel and grow it, and then start making a couple $1,000s a month, and then, oh well, mom, dad, I'm good. I can move out now on my own, and and do my own thing now. I'm making money off of YouTube. I'm good to go. Thanks. That's impossible. That has never been a reality for me at all. Like, it's never been something I've ever been able to do. I took myself out of poverty, and at one point, I grew up this way. I grew up in trailers and in poverty. I rose above it. I got out at one point. I had my own apartment. I had 2 jobs. I had a girl that would come over every Thursday, or yeah. So that was that. But I was living relatively normal. I had good credit. I was building my credit. Then my dad died, and I had 3 minor siblings. My mom had left us when we were all minors. I was almost 18. I was 17 and one month to go until I was 18. My mom decides to leave my dad for another guy, and there's my alcoholic dad with 5 kids to raise. And then suddenly my dad gets cancer. He's a Vietnam veteran. They attribute it to Agent Orange, from the Vietnam War, lung and bone cancer, even though he was a heavy smoker. So it's conspiracy theory. I think some doctors tried to help him take care of my brothers and sisters by diagnosing him with Agent Orange. And on the record, it's not because he smoked all the time, but a lot of veterans had Agent Orange, so it will always be a mystery. But he really loved his kids, and he wanted me to take care of my brothers and sisters. And I wanted to also, because we had a very crappy upbringing, and the only thing I wanted to do was to help my brothers and sisters to not have a crappy upbringing. They were. One night my dad got drunk after all this happened, and he got drunk, and my 9-year-old sister at the time was missing, or 8-year-old, seven was missing, and she had fell asleep on a railroad tie in front of a trailer, and this prompted, and while my dad was drunk and asleep and fell asleep, passed out, my brothers and sisters went playing out in the dark in the trailer park. And so then suddenly, the cops get called. My dad gets, arrested, and DSS comes out. My brothers and sisters get into foster care. So then I'm visiting my brothers and sisters in foster care as much as I can. I go to all the visits with DSS in these rooms. But my dad, he then, while they're in foster care, that's when he started getting really sick and had cancer, and he was diagnosed with cancer. And I before all that happened, I practically raised my little sister. She doesn't even remember it, and it's almost like it never happened in her memory. And I respect this, but her dad is her dad. My dad is her dad. And although I was a dad figure in her heart and her memory, Like, I was never really dad. Like, I was never really there. But she does, well, actually, she does say she remembers being with me all the time. But what she doesn't know is that I was raising her. And till this day, perhaps there are some family that would even say that that isn't even true, even though it's legitimately actually true, because nobody, for the record, in my extended family, as much as they as much as they care, they never wanted to take care of any of us. They never really wanted to help any of us out. And I was the only one willing to sacrifice my own life for my brothers and sisters. And it was something I wanted to do. And my dad happened to want me to do it as well. It wasn't just because my dad told me he wanted me to do it. It was because I also wanted to do it. So it was a good thing. My dad and I had a terrible time at getting along. But when it came down to taking care of my I have about 5 or 6 brothers and sisters total. But when it came down to taking care of the 3 minors at the time, I'm the oldest, I was the only one willing to take on that role and that responsibility at that time. And obviously, I got made out to be the bad guy in all of this, because that's what happens to empaths, and that's what happens in dysfunctional family situations. Because I was accused of all kinds of things. So I took care of my brothers and sisters. And if this video runs out of time, I will make a part 2. Man, I didn't realize I'd go this far into this video. This was originally meant to be talking about the Fred Savage situation, because I'm pretty sure Matt over at Quantum of Conscience will have a video made about it. Probably because, to me, it's the reality, definitely trying to tarnish and distort the reality because of the way the Wonder Years was presented. And then obviously it has to make things go bad. And Fred Savage, you know, him getting this, being fired from the new Wonder Years is just definitely, it's just like the reality. It's just crazy. So anyways, so I suppose I will continue with my story real quick. So I took care of my brothers and sisters, and but before I started taking care of them, I had my own apartment. I had my good credit. I had a girl coming over and there was just a couple girls I used to hang out with. I was building up a friend group of what I consider normal people, you know, opposite from my upbringing. And I was doing really good for myself. So suddenly, you know, with all this situation with my dad, I wanted to do it, and I started taking care of them. And it got really bad because the pressure was on me, and everybody was against me doing it. At the time, I just did not believe my mother was a good fit. Just point blank. I mean, she had left my dad, went off with another guy, and I did not feel that she was a good fit to be taking care of my brothers and sisters at the time. And in my opinion, my extended family just simply didn't want to take care of my mom. They didn't want to have the burden of, in their eyes, of taking care of my mom, because they knew they might eventually have to. So they started to make it out to be as if I were this like terrible person that wouldn't let the kid. Oh yeah, they need to be with their mom. Well, mom left them. Okay, so. But they just didn't really want to have to take care of her, and they knew that they would have to. That's the problem. That's the actual thing. When you break it down to its core, fundamental, functional, you know, that was what was happening. Because there are people in my extended family that are all about the facade. They're all about the outer, superficial, surface level stuff. So, because my brothers and sisters were receiving, obviously, VA benefits as well as Social Security benefits for being, minors, and, children of a Vietnam veteran, then it was a perfect scapegoat to turn me into a villain that just wanted to take all of their money. And that was like, that was my grandmother's narrative that she created, that I was just all about the money. But really at the end of the day, it's because they were trying to figure out a way for my mother not to end up living with them, and for my mother to end up benefiting from my dad's death so that she could live, so they wouldn't have to take care of her. Nobody was concerned about the kids. I was the only one concerned about the kids. And I even have a brother that even lies. He will even say, one of the minors that lived with me, he say, nobody stepped in to try to take care of us. And I'm the same brother that went an hour away to visit him, an hour and a half away to go visit him when he was in foster care. Always showed up at the visits when DSS. I was always there. I'm the only family member that was there. Now, some family members might have been there when it was convenient for them or fun, or when it was convenient for them, and they wanted to feel good about themselves, so they showed up at a meeting so they could take a picture and be like, yeah, I support my grandchildren, things like that. Now, some people might have shown up. I'm the only one that actually did something. Now, I was poor. I was still relatively poor, even though I was working myself up in life. Still relatively poor in a lot of ways, like financially, but I was improving. But so when they did live with me, I divided up there were kids that I was trying to be responsible and show them a better normal life, but I didn't have the money to support them on my own. So obviously I'm going to take a cut of their checks and allocate that towards helping with rent and utilities. I mean, any logical functioning human being in that position would do that, right? I mean, I'm sure that whoever is watching this has some enough neuroptic connections and synapses in their brain that can logically arrive at that conclusion. Like if you were poor and you had to take care of your brothers and sisters whose dad died and you don't have money but they're receiving benefits, wouldn't the logical thing, like, would it even be financially, practically, from a mathematical perspective, even possible to even take care of 3 kids on your own while making $8.50 an hour at a lawnmower repair shop, 40 hours a week in 2005, 2006? I mean, come on, let's be real. Let's actually have a brain. But if you're outnumbered by people, then they will create their own narratives, and then they'll go smear and create their own narratives, and then they'll say what they want to say, and everybody will believe it. Unfortunately, but hey, so due to all of that pressure it went on for about 3 years until it was too much. I'd been talking to this girl for like 2 years also. She lived in Mexico, and she was trying her best to get into school to become a doctor. And I thought she was ideal for me for a relationship. So I kept in touch with her. My Christian values were, the Christian values that I held said that, you court somebody, get to know them, and be their friend. And over time you build a godly like relationship based on that, and, courtship. So I was attempting to court this girl. She knew I was interested, and she ended up, I flew down there to Mexico to get my wisdom teeth taken out, and she set me up. She helped me get it together, but she was just kind of playing me. When I got down there, she brought another guy with her to hang out with us. One of my best friends at the time was down there also, because he was from the same city that she was from. And so when I got down there, and I thought she was on the same page with me as far as this like long-term like courtship process. And I like the idea that she had a passion to achieve something, because I did too. And that's why I liked her all that much. And she kissed a guy in front of me at a restaurant. Hey, being the smooth, cool guy that I am, when I witnessed this, I went within and I just saw a couple of hot girls over at this restaurant, and they were having dessert, and I went over there and hung out with them, sat with them, and a few minutes later, they're spoon feeding me their dessert. They thought I was so cool, and yeah, so I had a good time that night, and then so you know. And even after, I felt good. I mean, I felt confident. And that same girl, her friend started hitting on me after she witnessed me be so cool with these two gals, and that night. And then her friend was trying to hit me up and talk to me after that, which I know I'm not trying to brag, but I mean, I was pretty cool. And that's when I really tapped into that cool part of me that's pretty cool with the ladies. You know what I'm saying? So, at the time, it was still like hard. I was under all of this stress, and I really legitimately did have to fly to Mexico because they were going to charge me $2,000 to get all 4 impacted wisdom teeth taken out, and I had that gal help me get my wisdom teeth taken out, all 4 for $450, and then the plane was like $500, so I got it all done for less than $1,000, like shy of $1,000. Got all 4, and the oral surgeon did an amazing job. No pain afterward, no pain. Right. So get back to the United States, and I am just depressed. I'm overwhelmed. I'm 26 years old, 27. The world is just this huge boulder on my back with the situation I'm in. I no longer have a social life. Before that, I went to church a lot. I'm taking care of 3 kids. I'm being made into a villain. And then it was the perfect opportunity for some energy-sucking leech to come into my life and meet me at a Valentine's party at church. Okay. And that's when all the nightmarish things began that led to the point where I ended up years later, where I'm at now, in a 2-bedroom old trailer, having to move out because of this situation. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And yeah, I originally, like I said, I meant to make this video about like Matt from Quantum of Conscience. I meant to I was thinking when I saw this Fred Savage thing and how he got like fired from his job on the new updated Wonder Years, I thought, man, that's the reality really corrupting the attempting to put a stain on the reality. And you should check out Matt from Quantum of Conscience. I'd say it's like one of the most, golly, like the way he breaks it down, like no other individual. He's an author, and he has this YouTube channel, and he talks about how he sees the reality and stuff and how it breaks down. And it's pretty interesting. Another YouTube channel is Uncanny Deduction, and they kind of pair with each other. It's a really up and coming YouTube channel. They really pair well with one another, and I think that you check those 2 out. And then there's another one too called kind of goes into a different direction than their channels. Theoria Apophasis is the name of it. Theoria Apophasis, and it's a guy named Ken, and he has some really interesting stuff that you can kind of like listen to and kind of, I'm just trying to figure it out, and sometimes I think about how does it combine and match with the things that Matt from Quantum of Conscience and Uncanny Deduction says and stuff like that. And also Ralph Smart,